Yeah, baby. Welcome to Hot Mess Moments.
Okay, that came across as you trying desperately to be straight.
Oh no! Here I can be straighter.
Okay.
All right, welcome to Hot Mess Moments, everyone.
No, now you just sound like the dead guy from Jackbox.
Hello,
Goes,
Hello. Wake up!
Wake up! That's what he does.
That's what he says. Yeah. But welcome everyone to Hot Mess Moments,
It's
the
another
messiest
hot moment of a
podcast
mess.
that's full of moments that are hot,
And not at all messy.
not at all messy at all.
I say that, and then I realize that I haven't folded my blanket behind me, so therefore,
It's fine.
mess.
You know what? These people are probably listening to this like messier than we are. Let's be real. We attract.
You have to be in order to listen to us.
We attract a certain clientele.
We're great at it. Wonderful.
We're very great at it. But welcome everyone. This is the lost episode for this week, and we are covering episode 5 of season 2. ... And found.
And found. Okay, so I cannot wait to get into this, but before we do,
Yes.
I hear that you were making chili and pretzels tonight.
Girl. Oh my God. Okay. There is I have to get this full story. I have to go from beginning to middle to end.
Okay, you better go. You better work.
So for those that don't know, my husband and I previously lived in California.
What?
And then I know, right? We moved to Missouri because of COVID. We weren't able to like go apartment shopping anywhere in another state because we couldn't go anywhere because I didn't own a car in California and we couldn't fly because COVID was insane. And so the only places we could move to were somewhere that I knew someone could go apartment shopping for me that was affordable within our price range. That left Omaha, where I'm from, or St. Louis, which is...
It's not true. It also meant North Country, New York, right here for you, buddy.
I'm going to pass on that one.
It would have been so annoying for you to get back to California.
Oh my God, it would have been a nightmare. So we didn't really have a lot of choices, but I was like, I've always wanted to live near my best friend, Aaron.
Yes.
And so we up and moved. I convinced Nigel to move to the middle of fucking nowhere. And it's been the best for us. And so tonight, we've been here about I want to say 7-8 months. And tonight we made pretzels and vegetarian chili, and the carbs were worth it because Mama, this belly is full and functioning.
Well, let me just say one thing though.
Yeah.
Carbs are literally what your body runs off of. So carbs are a good thing. So you never knock those carbs. What you need to knock are those added sugars, which with what you're making, not as much of that. There are added sugars in pretzels, but not to the extent of those cookies I just consumed.
Hey, cookies are great. Okay.
Yeah, they were necessary. They were necessary. So when you say you made pretzels, do you mean you made the tiny little ones that mini pretzels, or did you make the nice big soft pretzels?
Oh, we made those big juicy pretzels, and they're the soft ones too.
Yeah,
I love a good soft pretzel.
Okay, are you team soft pretzel with a cheese sauce dipping sauce?
Okay.
Or are you a mustard person?
Absolutely 100% cheese.
Okay.
I will say I would have been anti-mustard for the longest time, but lately mustard's been kind of turning it out for me.
Mustard's so good for you too.
It's fucking great.
It's good,
especially that Grey Poupon. Whole seed mustard.
You know what my favorite thing is? Yes, you get those little seed bitches.
And then seed bitches.
Oh, God. You know what? Blue Apron and HelloFresh done fucked me up for the rest of my life.
Why?
What they have they have chosen to introduce me to the whole grain mustards.
It's so good.
And then you spread that shit on sourdough bread, and then you make a fucking grilled cheese with it. But catch me with this. A grilled cheese that has caramelized onions.
Oh yeah.
Apple and pear.
Oh yeah. You got to have that freshness. Oof.
Cheddar and Fontina cheeses together, but a little smear on all the different parts of the bread.
It's
It's just so
delicious. That
good.
sounds fucking sign me up.
And you know what you do on the side? Nice little arugula salad with like a little lemon squeezed on it. And you know what? You fuck that. You don't even eat that. You eat the bread, though.
You fuck that. You fuck it.
Fuck it.
You fuck the salad.
Fuck the salad.
Well, welcome everyone to Hot Mess Moments. Let's introduce ourselves.
Oh yeah, that's kind of important.
Hi everyone, my name is Dylan Zahner, also known as 8-Bit Dylan Online. I stream on Twitch. I work for Twitch. It's great. Love it. And I've also got a lot of cringy videos online if you want to go find that. But my favorite show is Lost. And I've never seen The Nanny before. But Beth, on the other hand.
Yeah, and I'm Beth Dixon, also known as Augusta Win 11. I also stream on Twitch, and I have a few different podcasts, not just Hot Mess Moments, where we talk about my favorite show of all time, The Nanny, and also the show I haven't seen before, which is Dylan's favorite show, Lost, which is what we're going to talk about today. But I also cover things like Big Brother Survivor, Drag Race, on a myriad of other podcasts. I even podcast for work. They got me doing that for work now. I'm on the payroll doing it. So this is my favorite thing to do, though, every single week, is to sit down and talk about this mess of a show that I love. I'm like so into Lost. And tonight is like whiplash once again with the characters, but in a good way. Like all of a sudden I'm like, okay, Jack's not a prick. Oh,
right?
Okay. Sun has a backbone. Oh, okay. Like Locke's not power hungry. Like,
yeah,
okay. Like,
it's
happening.
It's like I want to say what I think they did is I feel like this episode was kind of a season 1 reset where they're like, we took our characters so far in season 2 to such extremes. Let's like bring them back to what they were a little bit, and let's not just show the audience that like Jack is a dick 24/7. Like he still needs to eat, sleep, and be a human being. And that same with like Locke. Like Locke can't always be this manic 24/7. Like he's got to have.
I will say,
yeah,
I can understand if I'm doing like the writing did not tell me this.
Yeah,
I made myself tell me this, which is everybody had a wonderful bonfire and had their moments to come down, get food in their belly, to bond with everybody. The stress of figuring out what's in the hatch and all those different things. There were a lot more things that are known at that point. And so I can understand why Jack's butthole isn't up in his stomach right now. Like, I can understand that things are a little more relaxed. And I really liked this episode overall. I don't think it's the strongest episode. I'm going to rate it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Purely because I liked the characters. I liked seeing the backstory. It's the first time you've ever seen me really root for JIN, really root for JIN.
Yeah.
And even in the backstory and such. But there were so many moments with JIN and Sun, and somebody else. Now I can't remember who it was. Libby, maybe. But there were people who I was like, you better work. You better not let people tell us. I got mad at Ana Lucia tonight. Like I had to, I'm just going to talk about that right now.
Here, no, wait. Before we do, we got to bring in the episode. We're now about to cover Lost, season 2, episode 5, ... and found.
Well, I'll tell you what was found.
Yeah, what was found?
My anger for Ana Lucia. That was what was found.
Go in. Okay, tell me why.
Literally, I understand what she's about, right? I understand, like, they've seen too much shit. I have a feeling that a lot of their people have gotten quote unquote sick and have died, or maybe they have joined the others, or maybe a combination of both. Again, I don't know. Maybe the others are dead people. They said they don't leave tracks in this episode, which I thought was an important lore point. Just putting that out there. Maybe it's not.
Yeah.
I caught that shit though. But the thing that really made me upset, and this has made me upset quite a bit of the time, which is like, typical like white person learning about their privilege, I guess. But I'm sitting back and I'm like Ana Lucia is yelling at JIN when they're fishing and going, do you want to help us? Don't you want to eat? Like, what's, and he's going like, no. First of all, They literally just told you he's a good fisherman. So why don't you back the fuck off? And like, I don't know why it took me this long, but I realized in tonight's episode, like, oh yeah, the reason why he's good at fishing is because he's from a fishing village.
Yeah, his family comes from a line of, he's like from a line of fishermen.
I like literally knew that, but just like didn't make that connection until tonight, where I was like, oh yeah,
it makes sense.
It makes sense, I guess. But no, like what made me upset is like he's like clearly has a calm demeanor and clearly is like working on stuff, and then she gets all pissy and he says something back to her in Korean, and she goes, does it look like I speak Korean? And I had to unmute myself and go, does it look like he speaks English? Like, okay,
she's talking about like a fucking child. Yeah.
Like she was awful. And that's the thing, like, these are the things that drive me crazy a little bit about the show, but I understand that the show is purely about the extremities of characterization, right? Right? So I understand that, but it's like, finally get a strong, independent woman, and like you, like in the second full episode that she's in, she's already like super awful. And I'm like, come on.
I will say, I would argue this is the first episode since the start, or since like ever, that there were several strong women that were showcased. Like Sun standing up for herself several times, Libby standing up for herself, and like really like going against what Echo was saying and against what Ana Lucia was saying, and being like, no bitch, like his name's Michael.
His name's Michael.
And you better fucking address him as that. Exactly.
I wish that her voice was like Cecily Strong's character from SNL, and it's like the girl you don't want to talk to at the party. Because I think that would have been so funny. She's like, his name is Michael.
Michael.
His name is Michael. And I don't know why we're so scared of our Michaels in the Americas. And just like go off on a weird tangent. But like, she's right. But like, why?
What is she
saying?
Right? Yeah. She's right, but I don't know what she's saying.
I wish that's how Levy talks, but she doesn't. You know,
she sadly does not.
I will say this though, for the exception of Ana Lucia, every woman that we see in this episode is talking about love, or talking about an attachment to another person that's a love interest, and I'm like, that is like, I forgot what that test is called.
It's the Bechdel test.
Bechdel test. Thank you.
I will say
this show fails it like all the time.
Yes, but I feel like the Bechdel test mostly applies to singular medium, like movies. It's hard to perform the Bechdel test to shows because it's several hours of like, it's several hours of content as opposed to like a movie, which is 2. So like,
sure.
As a whole, though, this episode is meant to be about love. So like, it makes sense.
That's true. I will agree with you on that.
Like, it makes sense for the theme of the episode to be that. But overall, as a show, Lost has a lot it needs to work on.
And that's, and it's not just about women, right? Our other favorite moment of the episode.
This is so good. I forgot this moment happened. And I was like, oh my God.
I thought that was the moment you were talking about. Before we watched, you were like, there's one memorable scene. I thought that was the scene.
No. So there's a scene, y'all, where Ana Lucia is clearly being flirted at by Sawyer. And stupid. Sawyer's like, are you married? And Ana Lucia's like, no. Are you? And he's like, no, I'm single. And she's like, are you gay?
No, she doesn't say, are you gay? She goes, you gay? And then I was like, ah!
But I love Sawyer's response. And it was like, yeah, I am. What about it, biatch?
Yeah, I think, did I break my fan?
Did you break the fan?
No, okay, it's good. It just goes that far on the other side.
Good.
Yay.
But Sawyer agreed. He's like, yes, I am. I'm a bottom, bitch.
And then he bent over and showed hole. It was amazing.
He did. It was crazy.
It was crazy. Lost was like, I don't want to see
this. Lost was wild. It's revolutionary.
No, but so like, I thought for sure that's what you were talking about.
No.
Wait, what's the scene that you were talking about?
The iconic scene, and this is like a scene that is like referenced a lot in Lost, is when the others are walking And you
Oh,
see only their feet. And it's
they're
like
dirty.
very dirty. And they like teddy bears, apparently.
Have we seen that teddy bear before?
We have not. We have
Okay,
not seen
because
that
they
teddy
made a
bear.
lot of sounds and a lot of focus on that bear as if we were supposed to know where it came
For
from.
sure on purpose, but that will come into play later. I will say that, like the teddy bear aspect of it.
Is it Rousseau's child's bear?
Maybe. I see what you're saying. I thought you were about to say is the teddy bear Rousseau's child. And I was like,
what kind of Coraline shit is this?
I was like, that's a theory. No, maybe.
Could you imagine? You know what? I'm gonna start trying to meme this a little bit and just like one episode, every single time you have to figure out what is the theory Beth came up with that she actually doesn't believe, but is just saying it for the meme.
No, fuck off. Your theories are already wild enough. Like, and they're right.
But they're so right 100%.
100% of the time.
Well, it was fun. I did admit that I was a little off today. Let's recap a little bit. For those that are maybe potentially tuning in for the first time, I've literally have never seen Lost. I'm completely unspoiled. Any of the things I knew about this show, for the exception, the only thing that hasn't shown up yet that I know about,
Michael Emerson. You said
he's like the nerdy guy with glasses who's like, I don't know what, like,
you don't know when he shows up, but you know he shows up.
I just know that he's on the show. That's all I know. Everything else that I knew about, which was a hatch and that Michelle Rodriguez was on the show, that was it. We're caught up, quote unquote, which didn't take that much for me to get caught up.
It really didn't.
So whenever I have theories, they're really like what I'm trying to process at the time, which is, I know, not too dissimilar from what a lot of people were going through back in the day when the show was on, except for, I'm not looking up any information because it will get spoiled for me. So I had a theory at the end of season 1 that season 2 was pretty much going to be 2 different groups. I had predicted that the people at the tail end of the plane were the people that they, like, the raft crew was going to be up with. I was right.
You did,
but
predict
my
that.
choice. I said that they were going to go try to hunt down the others together. But it's very clear from this episode that they're trying their hardest to avoid the others because I think they've had a lot to do with them.
Yeah.
And so they've tried very hard to steer away from them. So I have to say, for once, and this is the only time, I'm
here we
100% right. I was like 95% right.
Oh, okay. She admits it. You're not always 100% right. No, I'm kidding.
No, I guess not. I guess I have to stick with 99% of the time.
Yeah, 99% of the time she's 100% right.
That's right. Wait, what's the line from Anchorman? 60% of the time it works every time. It's called Sex Panther.
Oh my God. I haven't seen that movie in so long.
I haven't either, but I quoted the show. Okay. I was at an age where that movie was like a cult classic.
People memed the fuck out of that movie.
But right before I went to college, and that's when only college students were on Facebook. It was like the second year of Facebook. I got my Facebook account the moment I had my .edu address, because that's how you could sign up for Facebook. And then all I did was join all these groups that literally was called like, my apartment smells of rich mahogany, or like it was just quotes of Anchorman. And all we did as a first year class to introduce each other before we even moved in was like, who can out quote other people for Anchorman? Like that was like the bar.
Oh my God. I would hate everyone you lived with or went to class with.
We were cool.
So this is one of the moments where I'm 100% right at the time. No.
You know what's great is that Lost was on at that time.
It was. That would be around that time frame. And I was one of those kids. Just obsessed with this show. So let's break it down by storyline. And then for those that don't know, we're changing up the structure of how we talk about these shows. We're going to not do a play-by-play recap. We're instead going to talk more general, theorize, talk about what we liked, what we didn't like about the storyline, what we think's going to happen going forward. And at the end of this episode, we'll usually do an MVP and an LVP, and then we'll also figure out what the name of the next episode is, and Beth can try to theorize who it's about and what's going to happen.
And that's what I think is like, I think my favorite part about both the Lost and the Nanny coverage is like all we do now. Like we were trying to figure out in the very beginning of the show, like how do we like best like bring the person into the next episode? And I love trying to figure out like, who is this episode going to be about in Lost? And I love hearing your cracked out plot lines for what's going to happen
so
with the Nanny.
Stupid. The Nanny, I've never been right, and I never will be.
You were very close one
on
time.
Material Fran. Yeah.
On Material Fran. Yeah. You were close. You weren't 100% there. But I thought that was impressive.
Thank you. So. I am that girl.
So let's talk about the tail end of the plane group first.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
So, because I know this is a Sun and a Jin centered episode, so I want to spend most of the meat and potatoes talking about them. So, like, I'm kind of like, let's get this group out of the way because it does have Jin in it.
I will say there's a lot to talk about here. So, I first off want your thoughts. I want a theory, just based off everything that you've seen. What do you think happened to the other people that were in this tail section?
So we clearly saw one of them was dead. With like a wooden spear through them.
His name was Goodwin.
Okay, I did not catch the name, so I'm happy that you repeated it.
But Echo said specifically he was one of the others. Like he was one of them.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah. Because Jin said others, and then Echo went, he did this.
Oh, I thought that was saying others, like the others killed him.
Oh, no. He's saying like, was he an other? And then
see, I thought he was saying, the others got to him, and he was like, yeah, the others killed him. That's what I thought he was saying.
No.
Wow. Okay. That changes my theory a lot then.
Yeah.
Because what I figured happened was like this is a fresher kill too, because he still has flies around him, and like it doesn't look like it looks like it's maybe been a few days rather than a few weeks, if that makes sense. So I think that like Ethan was an issue. That was his name, right? And the others, and the other who was. I think that they also had people who infiltrated their camp. So that's why he knew that his name was Goodwin and all those different kinds of things then. So
because even in that scene, sorry to cut you off, like the way he talks about Goodwin is in a very distasteful way. Like it's not in a
until you told me that.
That's that Goodwin guy that we loved. No, he was just like, that's a good one.
So the reason why I thought he had that distasteful thing was because I thought he got sick. And so he was trying to again, my theory had been before
maybe I shouldn't have said nothing then. I always want to hear the crazy theory then. What was your theory? Go on.
I'm just kidding. I just wanted to say no, but I really do think that what I had theorized was this was somebody who was killed by the others but had gotten sick. And so I still don't know if the sickness is tied to the others. Like, do the others make you sick? Is the sickness separate from the others? Does the sickness determine if you can survive with the others or if you have to die by the others? I don't know. Like, those are the theories that run around in my head. But what I thought happened was clearly we have seen and heard in last episode that there are others that have like infiltrated, or we saw that with this episode, clearly potentially have infiltrated their camp. That's like a theory I'm going off of. But the other theory that I'm going off of is last episode when they said that a lot of people had gotten sick. So I'm assuming they have to be related in some way, the others in the sickness. And that's been a theory for a long time, but I feel like it's getting stronger there. But I don't quite have a theory for like why. And you know what? I don't need to have a theory at this point, Dylan. I'm going to
it's fine.
Wait it out and try to gather my info.
Yeah.
I'm not going to jump to conclusions.
No, you know what? You've never once jumped to a conclusion.
Never.
And we're not going to start now.
No, that's not something I'm known for. It's not something. So let me jump to this conclusion, shall we? No, just kidding. But no, I think I don't really know what the difference is there. But I think that this is like, you know, they talk about in this episode, they have trust issues. This guy's clearly freshly dead. They said they had 23 of them. So
Yeah.
how many were there that were alive? 4 or 5?
Yeah, there's like 6, maybe.
Okay.
5, 4, 5. No, it's like 5 or 6.
Okay. So if there were 23 and there's only 6 of them, that means 17 have gone the wayside and died. But it's weird to me that they wouldn't be like, oh yeah, they died. We buried them all over here. Or like I feel like that's something like when, like if Michael and Sawyer were to talk with them and say like, yeah, we had a few people die too. We buried them or we burned them or the woman who drowned. Like, I mean, there's been people who have died, but they've been dying from like, for the exception of the Ethan murders, like have been mostly like freak accident kind of thing.
Or like natural causes, like her getting swept up in the water or Scott getting mutilated on a beach, you know.
So
Art's blowing himself up, you know, just simple girly
Couldn't
things.
bury that one.
Just girly things.
Just good vibes.
just good vibes. And then he's gone.
Just goodbye. Oh, okay. Side note: I've been trying to think behind me. I might move like Nigel's painting because he painted that little elephant and put it up over by my thermostat, and then above over here would be like whatever like an LED sign is. I swear to God, LED signs only come in "Hello, gorgeous" and good vibes, and that's it. Like,
that's all I got. And to get a custom one is so expensive.
I know, but I think like I'm gonna have to go that route because I think I want it to say "Welcome to the fan base."
Ooh.
Because I always say "Welcome to the fan base."
That'd be pretty cute.
Plus, it feeds into my egotism. So.
And it all comes full circle.
It's a circle.
Just get hot mess.
Okay, if I didn't have to do work, like I have to sometimes think about what's behind me when I'm doing like work calls. Could you imagine?
You just say boonie hole. You just say, and it's a tiny one. It's a little boonie hole.
Could you imagine a fucking LED light?
Oh, the neon light, just a little boonie.
Cursive, cute writing.
Little boonie hole. For anyone that doesn't catch that reference, you have to watch our season 1 podcast reviews. When Boone died, we just went on a weird fucking tangent about Boone's butthole, and we called it a little boonie hole.
Boonie hole.
It's so stupid.
Oh my God.
Oh, shit. Oh my God.
I'm like, I think I'm gonna swallow my tongue. Like that was amazing.
Oh fuck! Man. You should get that.
I do want to get one that says booty hole, but I will put it in front of me up here so I could look at it and go.
You just see the warm green light of your little booty hole, like as you're
green.
I don't know, whatever neon color you want.
Like so this is booty hole and it's green. I feel like that's the last color I'd want to get.
Don't come for Shrek like this, okay?
The Shreky hole?
The Shreky hole, the Shrek swamp. Swamp ass. Okay, we gotta get back to the episode. Yeah, back to the episode. So there is a few cool moments within the storyline. We ought to see a lot more about Echo.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Mr. Echo?
Okay, so I definitely didn't hear if he said Mr. Echo. I thought he said something like as if it was one word, like Mr.
Oh,
Echo.
It did kind of sound like that. Yeah, his name is technically Echo, but some people call him Mr. Echo. So
when he said his name, I thought he said Mr. Echo, which was like maybe some kind of, like, I don't know, some name that I hadn't heard before. And I was like, whatever. Yeah. But then I thought that Sawyer was just like Mr. Echo. And then the guy was like kind of went with it because he was like, yeah, my name's Mr. Echo. And just like didn't correct him. So like
that makes sense though. That is a very Sawyer thing to do.
I know. That's why I was so convinced. And then when they saw that they like later on called him Echo, I was like, oh, okay. I guess that literally was his name. I just thought it was
like, damn. Okay, Sawyer, not giving him a nickname.
Like that. And I was like, okay, cool. Mr. Echo.
So what are your thoughts on Echo?
So clearly he's a tracker. So he's very to like a lock extent. He's like the lock equivalent. And Ana Lucia is the Jack equivalent that I'm getting so far.
For sure.
I can't wait to see if Libby is the Kate equivalent or not.
Please don't. We don't need another Kate on this island.
The only reason why I'd go for it, I'd be like, could you imagine if Libby's like, yeah, I'm wanted for murder and all these other things. And also like I have a weird relationship with Ana Lucia where like one episode we're just like openly flirting. And then the other episodes I have to be like really quiet because the men are speaking.
Oh my God. It's so, you know what though? You're so right because like every other woman so far, maybe outside of Shannon, is so much better of a character than Kate is.
Yeah.
Like even a character that has literally just been introduced, like Libby and Ana Lucia. Maybe
what makes me mad.
That one other woman it's in the tailies that they haven't showcased yet. Okay. Like maybe she's because we haven't gotten any plot from her yet. But other than that, like all the other women are hands down better than
leaps and bounds. And that's what's like because that's what the biggest issue is they really don't know how to write her in the quote unquote present because they know how to write her in the past.
Her past is great.
The past is awesome.
It's fascinating. Yes.
And like if they could only like translate that honestly, the reason why it doesn't work once again is because they decide to throw weird crushes and romance and sexual tension into it. If they literally didn't do that with her character, first of all, how much better are we even better off for her and Jack right now being a weird? There's no reason for them to be in any kind of romantic situation, right?
Agreed.
They could have easily the same kind of. It's just for shippers. And it's also you sit back and it's for the people who like had to justify that the only way that a man would listen to a woman is if he found her attractive and wanted to listen to her because of that, right? But then he doesn't respect her opinion half the time. I'm like, well, they could have been friends. Look at you and me. Just kidding. Yeah.
Wait, what'd you say? No.
It's amazing. I was hoping you would go along with that. And I'm so happy you did.
No, really, what did you say though? No, I'm kidding. I
said booty hole.
That's so true though. It's so true.
That's what makes me mad. And like then anytime they use her to talk with any other woman, it's always about men issues or like issues with love or something like that, which is like nice to have that side of her. And it would work better if she wasn't having a weird romantic sexual like triangle thing. You know what I mean?
And then like, girl, pick a lane. Do you want to fuck Jack or do you want to fuck Sawyer?
And like, if you want to fuck both, just say so.
Just tell him.
You don't know. You could get Eiffel Towered. It could be nice.
Jack and Sawyer might be into that. Sawyer definitely would be. Sawyer would definitely be in it. Jack, I don't know if Jack would be into it. Sawyer,
Jack would be like, "You go to the mouth. I want."
What the fuck? Beth, you were too in depth.
I'm trying to really think about this, and I feel like he would have like ownership over it. You know what I like? He would be like, "I don't want to be near you. You have to go to the other."
Pussy. Like, he needs the boonie hole. Let's be real. That's what he needs.
Well, he was the one that we jokingly said did.
That's true. It's true. Oh, okay, I have to get off this topic. Back to the tail section survivors. So
we're still not through this section.
Yeah, we're not. So they're traveling to the campsite.
Yep.
We see like a little bit of like, flirting with Sawyer and Ana Lucia. We see that they are very scared to go into the inland because of the others.
Yep.
They say like they are like, that's their territory. We don't go in there. We don't fuck with them. I'm curious though. What do you think happens when, like, because they seem as if they've done something, like they've had some interactions with the others a few times. So what do you think happens? I think you may have already touched this. Do you think that they killed people that were sick, or like sickness might be associated with the others? But I want to know more thoughts on that. And I also want to know, what do you think is going to happen if the tail section survivors make it to the main camp?
So first of all, I still don't understand why they're in the jungle at all. Just walk on the beach. I mean, like on the don't be on the sand, because
I guess it would take longer. I guess that would take longer though, as long as they're like, if they cut through the island. They're that scared
that if they went 10 yards that way, they might get attacked. Just go to the beach. Because like clearly these others don't go to the beach that often, except for to light big bonfires
which we found out. No, that was real. But
they lit the bonfire.
They did light the bonfire. Yeah, I always get confused on that. I always keep thinking that the French woman did it, but the French woman went there. Yeah. With the baby, she didn't light the fire.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I think that I think what happens is that I think that anytime that you go too far in, I don't know.
If you don't know, you don't have to say.
I don't have any more theories other than like the getting sick, and like I don't know if the others make you sick. I don't know if there's something about the environment, the island, that makes you sick, and does the sickness drive you to be an other, which could also be another trust issue that they have or whatever, because like you kind of infiltrate.
It's becomes among us.
Or what, but that's just kind of where I'm at there. But I think if they make it all the way over to the other end, I think that first of all, Jack and Ana Lucia are going to be able to like, hey, what a drink. Hey, I know who you are. Like, it's going to be that moment. And then, of course, I'm sure there's going to be another love triangle. And then it's going to be like, well, Kate clearly misses Sawyer. So does this turn into Kate takes on Sawyer's side, and then Ana Lucia and Jack are there? And does that create any horribleness? Like, I don't know. I hope that's not what happens. If that's what happens, come on.
Like, please don't.
Please don't do this. But yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens when they get there. I have to imagine that there will be a little bit of like the Spider-Man meme where it's like pointing at themselves like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" You know,
you're the girl version of me. Like, that's how Jack talks now.
And then Locke looks at Echo and goes, "Hey, I like your tracking skills."
They just start making out.
Okay. There was a moment in this episode where I thought that Michael and JIN were going to make out at the waterfall.
Yeah, I was like, oh, there's
all I want is for someone to go, "You gay?" and like cut to the two of them in front of the waterfall. No.
Honestly, I would love to be in the middle of that, please. Let me just
I volunteer as tribute.
Yeah, I volunteer as tribute. So then we see at the end that Michael, JIN, and Echo might be going off to save Walt, that's what was kind of like up in the air. Is did they say, Michael, you go save Walt, and they're walking back to the beach, or are they all walking back to the beach, or
no,
are they?
I think they're all walking back to the beach.
I think they are. For me, I was very confused.
For me, I felt like that was clearer that like whatever they were able to get through to him and say, it was very much like, we need to like rally the troops, get supplies, get out of their territory. Like, we need to get out of here. And nobody escapes them. So who's the one person who has escaped them? Claire. And she's not here. True. So, and not that she remembers, but like, we're better off going to like the 40 other people and being with the numbers. And that way we can, rally the troops and all that stuff. Plus, there are guns over there. Like, there's things,
They've got a lot more protection.
So they got, that's not what they said, but there was an intensity there that between JIN's intensity and face and like the trust that he has with him, and then Echo's like, common sense and knowledge of the others. I think they get through to Michael. Also, how are their sphincters not super tensed up in that moment when Michael's going, "Hello!"
Right?
Whoa! I would have been like, dude, could we like...
This is like... the fucking the movie where they can't whisper in.
Oh,
But in the
Quiet Place.
but then in the sequel they're loud as fuck and somehow never get caught.
See, I've never seen A Quiet Place or the second one.
It's trash. I didn't like
See,
it.
there's so many people who have told me that it's like the first one's like really scary.
Oh, the first. Okay. Side note, 2-second review again. We did this last episode too. Quiet Place 1 is only good for the first like 30 minutes.
Ooh.
And then a controversial take. And then I did like it is consistently tense throughout. And I did like the resolution in the end. The second movie is abysmally bad compared to the first one. The universe rules that they set in the first one literally get thrown out the door for the sequel, and it doesn't even feel like it's in the same universe.
You know what other movies that are like that for me?
What?
Scary Movie.
Shut the fuck! I fucking hate you. Shut your boonie hole and let's move on to Sun and Jin's storyline. I think we could talk about the flashback and the present kind of side by side here.
What I like about what we're seeing, what we get to see with Jin's character up until this point, we've only seen him purely be ashamed of his fishing background as well as always feeling like he's not good enough.
Yep.
And what I like about what we see in this flashback is that he does have a sense of pride, and he does have a sense of like, I'm not going to let some of the most powerful people kick me. And I loved that with him. And we got to see that in the present too. Oh my God.
Oh my fucking God. Like, he is so hot. This is why Daniel Day Kim was voted like one of the hottest men.
I remember this.
Yes.
He was in People magazine as one of the hottest men. So let me break this down for you. I have always found his character attractive physically, but tonight was the first time I was like, Daddy?
Daddy pussy wet.
And we're done. All right, guys. This was the last episode of Hot Mess Woman. Thank you for tuning in.
Daddy, sorry.
Daddy? Sorry. Daddy?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Daddy? So anyway, but this is the first time, and honestly, if this doesn't prove I'm a friggin' demisexual, like nothing else will. Like, I literally sat back and I was like, I feel like I better understand this character, and through that, he's become actually like attractive. Like, he's always been conventionally physically attractive, and that's fine. But I watched this and I was like, okay,
you're very cute.
And I like it.
I also really loved in this scene, even though it ends in heartbreak, this relationship between Sun and Mr. Lee. There was chemistry there between those actors.
Can you maybe explain something to me? What did he think? He thought that they were just getting a sham marriage where they could be friends kind of thing?
So what I think was happening was I think he thought that she wasn't into him and he was using her. So like they both were annoyed at this matchmaker situation.
Right.
And they both came from like very rich families. And he thought, let's just pretend to be in a relationship to shut them up. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I've already got a situation like handled back in America where I'm going to go marry this American woman. Let's just pretend that this is working that's why he was like, to end the matchmakers, to make our parents happy for now, to kind of move on, just so they'll move on. So that way I can go and marry this American woman. He didn't expect Sun to actually like him and to like really like connect, which tells me this guy has zero people reading skills, because you could tell from a mile away Sun was like fucking into him.
Or what if we say general things from the first meeting, which is like, I'm going to put it right out there. I'm looking for something that's going to shut people up, but I'm already in love with somebody else. But I'm looking with somebody who I can be a friend with, who wouldn't be like, you know, you can go off and have your own thing. I don't care. Like, because we've seen, I mean, that storyline gets to be kind of, you know, popular with some of these, you know, different cultures and ethnicities and such that have more arranged marriages, or that's a bigger role. We kind of see that a lot, right? There's like actually, I can't remember who the TikTokers are, but there's a TikToker, like friend duo who have like this whole like arranged marriage thing setting up from a mile away, and it's like a series that they do, and like they're both gay. And so they're like, they go to like they meet the other person for the first time, and like he like is super femme, and he's like, yeah, so basically my dad owns like this textiles company. Like, she's just like, are you gay? And he's like, oh yeah, no, I'm so gay. And she's like, I'm a lesbian. And he's like, shut up. It's like, so they're like, should we? And then we can, it's like, I love that trope. So like, but the whole point of this being, if he was able to just put it out there on the table, because like, first of all, he is a man in a very patriarchal society. Like, what's going to happen there? No one's going to be that upset, right? Like they'd be like, oh no, Lee. They'd be much more upset with Sun. But good for her for getting up from that table and knowing her worth and stepping away. You better work, Sun.
Agreed. I loved that empowering scene, and I also really loved seeing a moment of vulnerability with Sun in that garden where she's like just tearing shit up. She's angry. She's pissed. She's like, fuck all this shit. She's like, fuck all this shit.
I think it's also... break your microphone the way that she's breaking the garden.
Agreed. I was like, fuck this. Just
how many times, like that to me is probably the most realistic outburst that somebody's had on the show.
Agreed.
Because how many times do you end up destroying the things that you either like the most because you're having an anger outburst, like whether it's video games and you throw your controller across the room and it breaks or something like that, or you work on like some painting or art and you get upset and then you just ruin the whole thing. I can't tell. Thank God I had myself somewhat in check, but when I would play instruments, and I'd get so mad, like when I couldn't do something on the clarinet. I'm so happy I wasn't so angry as to like hurt my clarinet. But there have been believe me, there have been times. Thankfully, I would break things like reeds, where I'd be like, take it out and like stab it and like break a pencil and do something like that. Yeah, no, I'd get like very viscerally angry, and then I'd be like, fire sign, hello. I'm a Aries Mars as well, which is. Mars is the ruler of, war.
Oh, my neck.
And Aries rules Mars, and that's where my Mars is. So I'm very fiery.
You don't need to tell this TMI. I don't want to know where your Mars is.
It's near my booty hole. But like I would get so angry, and thankfully I would be breaking, like $5 reeds, not like $5,000 clarinet,
Yeah.
But like that to me was the most visceral thing, something that you've poured your heart and soul into, that when you have this moment of like pure, like uncontrollable, like outburst where you destroy the thing that you care about the most in that moment, that is like that you can get your hands on, because like you're trying to tell yourself it doesn't matter when it matters the most, and then you like get upset about it after. And they're like, I didn't want to do that. Like that to me was like such a strong scene, because I really, really identified with it.
Yeah. And I liked the advice that Locke gave her.
Yes.
Where he's just like, I don't feel lost anymore. And she's like, how did you get to that moment? And he's like, I just stopped looking. He's like, you can't find something if you're constantly trying to search for it. You just stumble upon the things that you're trying to find. And this has been
true for me too.
It's so true. This is like the number one piece of advice that I always give people, where they're all like, I can't find someone. I'm still lonely. I still like dating is terrible. And 9 times out of 10, it works out because you're not looking for someone. Like usually if you're trying to find the perfect partner, you're never going to find the perfect partner, because you're then starting to find the flaws and how they're not perfect. Because
if somebody could stumble upon me though soon, that'd be great.
Get up on there. Like you got to put yourself out there for sure. But like,
no, of course.
But there's so many people that self-defeat themselves because they're trying to find something so hard that they're just oblivious to the obvious and like what's out there.
You know
So I
what? One of
really,
my and I think it's so funny. And there have been very few times in my life that whether it's an object or an idea or something I'm trying to remember or something like that, that I have actively been looking for it and found it. And the only example that I think that comes to my mind of something that like I was actively looking for and we found was that a number of years ago, my family went to Myrtle Beach and we were swimming, and my brother had bought these like, I don't know, $500 sunglasses and went in the ocean with them. And of course, fell off. And we were like, well, that's never being found because it's Myrtle Beach. So these are not clear water. We're in the brown ocean in April. Like it is not the time to look for stuff. And secondly, like it's just going to go right underwater. You better believe we searched for 20 minutes consistently, couldn't find them. We'd like spread out this whole like little area, 4 of us. And then another 10 minutes later, actually, this is like not even, we gave up and my mom found them. Like 10 minutes
just
later
washed
after
up
that.
On the beach?
No, they were like in the sand about, I don't know, 30 feet in. Like that's where he had been. But because, the current picks up the sand and people are walking around and such, like literally we gave up. We were like, oh man, sorry, Chris. Like maybe don't swim with $500 sunglasses.
Then he broke them immediately after.
I actually I had a moment where I was trying to remember, did that happen or not? It did not happen. Because I was like, did something bad happen to them right after? No, but they didn't. But he literally, my mom was like, oh, here they are. And we were like, holy crap. But we gave up on that now that I'm thinking about it. We're not Catholic, but we even did the Tony turn around. There's something lost that must be found thing. Because St. Anthony's the patron saint of finding things.
I have never heard that. But that
Tony, turn around. There's something lost that must be found.
And then it's just Boone bent over.
It's a boonie hole.
I swear it'll stop being funny tomorrow.
Never.
But for now, we're enjoying the fuck out of this meme. The meme that we created that's just for us.
Our listeners were like, okay, fast forward and done. Okay,
there you go. So overall, that was pretty much this episode. We saw that also Kate had this moment where she was recollecting about Sawyer and the notes got up. Also, love that moment with Sun and Hurley watching Vincent try to poop. Or they're trying to wait for Vincent to poop.
That's my son, literally Son's face to anything Hurley said was
you could tell she's trying not to laugh.
My favorite part about this is our friends and such, we'll all go girl. And that's how we say, but his is dude. And so he's just literally, he was like, dude, the dog's gonna poop it out. He's so convinced. It was so funny.
I love it.
The only other thing that I saw coming from a mile away is when she lost her wedding ring. I was like, okay, so she lost it when she buried the thing. And then, lo and behold, that's where that's literally, I don't know if this was a plot device in order to let's tie in how she feels about
That's totally
JIN.
What this was. This is just to reveal her true emotions of JIN and how much she really misses him. And now that she thinks he's gone, now she regrets not saying something.
But it also kind of drives me a little crazy that this is the plot device that they used, because I'm like, this doesn't make sense for her character. She literally gardens and digs holes all the time, but you're telling me the one time she just digs one hole in the sand.
Ring.
All of a sudden it just came right off in the sand. It was different
she's
from
so skinny
the
now.
Hundreds. That's the other thing. That's the other thing I had to unmute and talk about. Remember last time I was like, they all went to Kohl's and got brand new clothes. She got dirty, bitch.
She did. She was in that dirt. She was doing a full dance routine in the dirt, and those white pants are ruined.
Toxic.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't ever book us for karaoke.
She was like, baby, can't you see?
I would love that. Give me a Sun version of that.
Could you imagine if they were we were going to put this as the plot device and the snake was the thing that ate the ring, but you know what? We figured it was probably more realistic. I'd be like, I beg to differ. I think the Sun could pull it off.
I think Sun could pull it off. Okay, so for this episode, who is your MVP and LVP?
My MVP is going to be JIN.
I think it's a good one. I think is this JIN's first time on MVP?
I think it is. It might be the
Ooh.
second, but I'm
It might
fairly
be. It might
certain
be.
time
Yeah.
it's the first. I mean, he's definitely been LVP before.
For sure. Yeah.
I think it makes the most sense. He was consistent in both his past memories and the present. Like he was brave and consistent. The fact that he punched Echo when I was like, that dude is 7 times your size.
Dude. And Echo just took that punch like it was nothing. And Jin was literally assassinating people.
Right. I was just like,
or like a hitman or something. I don't fucking know what he was, but he knew how to fight. Like Jin knows how to fight.
I was like, oh, okay, this is how it's gonna be. But then I like that like Echo's like, okay, you got it out of your system. I'm also gonna punch you to the ground, and now like we're even. Can we go in the
Yeah.
woods now? Like, love that for Echo. I would say Echo's also actually up there for an MVP, but I don't think he plays enough of a pivotal role in this to give him MVP versus
Okay.
Jin. I think we see much more of like his character when I mean not just about characteristics, I mean like literal character. Like, and I really, really enjoyed seeing that part of him both in the past and in the present. For the LVP, I think I'm gonna go Ana Lucia for it.
I could see that for sure.
If not only was I annoyed with like the way that she's like treating them, like we get it, you're the boss, all those other things, but like, don't you think that maybe you should involve them in some of your conversations? Also, what is it with them not giving up any information about what's going on? And like, at the very least, ask them stuff. And if you can figure out if they're telling the truth or not, because I understand that like, the truth is a scary thing because like, or like trust is a scary thing at this point because you don't know who you can really trust out there. But like, if you aren't willing to give up information, why don't you listen to them and then you can engage in a conversation? Like, it seems stupid. Also, I hate the idea that they're like, oh, we're going to leave you behind, Sawyer. And I'm like, okay, he's literally has an infected arm.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want from him?
Agreed. Like Ana Lucia for sure LVP material here. And I'm hoping that this isn't the current direction that she's going to keep going down. I'm hoping that they like bring her back to her badass roots.
Well, and here's the thing. This is based off of her. Like, I do appreciate that they're trying to show like a very overt quote unquote leader that's a woman. And I appreciate that. What I don't appreciate is that, you know, she is not assertive. She's aggressive. And there's a big difference there. And she's not really a leader. She's a manager. And so those are the things like, you know, I've talked a lot about these different aspects with Jack before too, which is why I think she and Jack are very similar in many ways. I will say she is much more aggressive in her normal personality. And I think, but Jack has proven that under any stress, he's like psychotically like awful.
Agreed.
Like, okay.
Like we're giving this man power. He can't even like
he's going, what's the problem with like, I mean, like
let's break down the cement wall. And
look at like, my key goes up to the wall like this. Why? Hit it harder, Saeed.
Destroy it.
Also, that's also interesting. We didn't see Saeed at all this episode.
There was 0 Swan Station. We did not see any of the Swan Station.
Like it. I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of nice to have a break from it.
Agreed.
Can I also say my favorite thing about season 2 that's so far? Very limited Shannon, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, agreed. We really have not seen a lot of Shannon. We have not seen a lot of Claire. We haven't seen a lot of Charlie. We also haven't seen.
I'm so thankful we didn't
too much
see
Locke. We haven't seen outside of his own centric episode. Like I say that, and he's like always peppered into like one scene at least per episode so far.
Well, I mean, and Jack was peppered into this one. Like other than that one scene, he wasn't in this episode at all.
That's true. That's true.
So, but I think that's what's interesting. For me, like it's. What I like is that the only time they bring out Shannon is when they really want to feature the dog. And I'm like, I'm here for that.
And she wasn't even here for when Vincent was there this time.
No, that's the best part. They were like, can we watch your dog shit? And she was like, all right.
I should like fucking go for it. So next episode is called Abandoned. Who do you think it's about? And what do you think is going to happen? First, who do you think it's about?
Okay. Abandoned.
Sorry if you hear
I heard something. We haven't gotten this character as a centric character episode yet.
Okay.
Well, actually, two of them. So I think it's either going to be we finally see Walt, and it's a Walt-centric episode.
Okay.
Or it's an Ana Lucia-centric episode, and we get a little bit more background information on her.
Interesting. It is a Shannon-centric episode. You just talked all this shit about Shannon. And then you get...
The season was so good.
I will tell you though, this episode's actually not that bad. Like it's a pretty good episode. What do you think happens? It's called Abandoned.
Hopefully they abandon her in the woods and then the dog's free and that's all we have to care about for the rest of our lives.
Is Vincent just free of Shannon's wrath?
No, I feel like, well, okay, so this is clearly we're going to get the past, it's not just going to be presently focused on her. So I think this is probably where we're going to see more information about why she felt like she needed to swindle her family out of money and that she feels like she was likely abandoned in that sense. I think we're going to see the roots of that. I'm interested. I can't remember if you told me this or not. Was there a reason why Boone was killed off? Like, did the actor break a contract or anything like that?
I don't think so. I think he was just always meant to die in the first season.
Okay. So that makes me feel like Boone could come back and we might see him in flashbacks and such, which would be kind of cool. So I think that's what the flashbacks are going to be, is like the tension between like her and her, I can't remember. Is it her stepmom who's Boone's mom and it's her father?
I think so. Yeah.
Because wasn't it like her father had the money and married the stepmom, but the stepmom got all the inheritance when he died and like didn't give it to her, but she felt like it was due, like that kind of thing. So that's where I feel like we're going to get some of that, is like fresh after the passing, like, of the father. That's my theory there. And then for present day, it'll tie into her feeling abandoned by Saeed because he's actually doing shit on the island and she's just like, I want to talk and cuddle. Like, that's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
Vincent like runs away and she feels abandoned. That would be sad. I am not an inhuman person. I think that would be sad, but I think that like Vincent has run away multiple times before, even with Walt. And so I feel like she will feel like, oh my God, I lost the dog, or he left me, or whatever, feel abandoned. That's my new theory. That's it.
Yeah. We'll have to see. We'll have to see if your theory is right or not.
That means I'm 100% right. Because you were like, oh, bitch, she got it. So I can't say anything. We'll have to see.
She's so smart. But thank you all so much for watching this episode of Hot Mess Moments. If you are new, make sure to leave a 5-star review if you can. It'll help us out tremendously on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a written review, or check us out on YouTube if you want the video version. Or
make
Spotify.
Sure you click that subscribe button, give us a like, give us a comment. We love reading. We do read all the comments and we try to respond to as many of them as possible. If you want to tweet me anything about the nanny, you can tweet me at AugustaWind11, or you can tweet Dylan
about Lost stuff at 8-Bit Dylan. You can also follow us on our joint Twitter account at Hot Mess Moments, and you'll get all the updates to all of our upcoming episodes. We also post memes and silly shit sometimes on there, especially if it's pertaining to Lost or the nanny. So thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll be back here next week with yet another recap of Lost, which will be Season 2, Episode 6, Abandoned.
And that episode is going to drop the day that I come to visit you in St. Louis, by the way. We won't have filmed it together.
Oh my God, you're right.
We only have one more episode to record of Lost and the Nanny before we potentially do one in person again.
That's going to be sickening. That is going to be sickening. I can't wait. Sickening, no? But thank you all so much, and we'll see you all next week.